And I noticed about that cultural appropriation conversation. That was one, if I'm not mistaken, that actually came up to some degree in your Shark Tank thing as well. Wasn't that raised about the Maasai tribe or something as well?
It was, and it was very heavily edited, which was frustrating. But again, you know, it's one of those things. I'm the only one that knows what was said beyond what was edited. And again, it comes down to people's opinions. You know, I filmed for 2.5 hours. It was cut to 12 minutes. So what was able to be shared about the way we work with the Maasai was very restricted, and didn't give a lot of context, hence why it was easy to use as a nice bit of clickbait. But reality is, as I mentioned earlier, we do it thoroughly, we do it right. We don't utilize tribes like a zoo, which was the context on Shark Tank. And yeah, I mean, reality TV is what it is, and they want it to be entertaining. So you take that with a grain of salt and hope that the people who do get you in the brand.
I don't watch any of that, so it's not my sort of thing anyway. But I think it's great that you're doing what you're doing, though, because we are in this area like Blinkist, because this is a tribe, so this blinking sort of tribe to accelerate. And in tourism, we're seeing it more and more. Destinations that were once quite sacred or exclusive, because they've got a nice shot, have now become popular. People race, and there's examples of this where they're bombarded with lines of people waiting to get the Instagram filter snapshot. But that's it. They don't actually appreciate the experience itself. They just want the photo.
Yeah.
Of the experience. And I'm sure, do you find that you would have maybe less of that type of travel image because of the screening you would do, I'd imagine, but do you still find that happens?
Not as much, not with our product. I mean, we certainly don't position ourselves as the type of tour company to travel with if you just want to snap and get that photo and say you've been somewhere. You know, we really do promote that we are about educating and perspective shifting and coming away more learned than when you join the tour with us. So I think that the messaging that we put out with the way that we market our tours removes a huge element of that. And also too, I mean, our demographic is 45 plus, and a lot of those Instagram, let's have a picture here, that is the younger demographic, and our product is a premium adventure product. So even from a price point, it does remove a certain portion of the market as well.
Yeah. It's funny, it's odd because it makes it, today I actually put up a post. It's like your history is your memory, not the photos of your past.
Yeah.
And I think in the experience economy, which we'll talk about now, it's important to remember that, right? Now, the experience economy, tourism and travel is well placed to really, in a normal moving world, which we'll get to, but it's really well placed. Well, yeah, exactly. For the experience economy. And to summarize that, I like talking it the way that Harvard Business Review did many years ago. They talk about it like a cake, right? If you, in the agrarian economy, if you're making a cake, you'd grow your own ingredients, you'd bake your own cake.
Yeah.
In the goods economy, you might grow some of your ingredients, you'd buy some pre-packaged goods, you'd still bake your own cake. In the service economy, you pay somebody else to bake and make the cake for you. And in the experience economy, the cake is only one component of our overall event. It's no longer about the cake. Now, you can also relate that. I think it was last year, I did a piece for Travel Daily. It was extrapolating the idea for travel. It's the same thing. The service economy was really where you're going and having that agent, that consultant package and help package everything for you. But we have really evolved, and I think that the sort of tours that you're doing really talk to that experience economy, because that's really what it's about. It's creating unique, memorable experiences. And not only in the product itself, but also in the way that your clients and customers interact with you on every level, on every touch point. So tell me, how do you guys adapt and bring that whole like experience economy to life, not just with the products you do, but is there other ways that you might do that, or that you can relate to for the broader travel industry? You think there's opportunity to really tap in on that idea?
I think it comes down to, I guess, as simple as creativity and coming up with concepts and ideas that aren't what everybody else is doing. And having a clear, consistent message that constantly says that in all different types of ways. For us, our number one thing is to inspire people, to inspire them and to get them thinking about things that they didn't know was possible, and to understand what opportunities are out there that they didn't know they could do or experience. And that is how we kind of start the flow on effect for people wanting to come on a Crooked Compass tour. It's got to start with something. And for us, everything all the way through is education. And if it's someone that lands on our Facebook page or our Instagram and sees a photo of something that they think is incredible, and they're like, wow, I had absolutely no idea that this existed, or I had no idea that I could do this, tick for us, step one, done. We've engaged them, we've intrigued them, they want to know more. And so I think that, you know, if you're talking about the broader travel industry as a whole, of course, everybody's operation is completely different, but everybody has their own unique selling points. So it really comes down to businesses really being able to identify what that hook is for their travelers or for their potential travelers. What are you going to do to hook them in, get them keen to want to know more and feel that hunger about, I need to know more, what's coming next. And then just have that consistent through all of your platforms, whether it's website, newsletters, social media, any kind of PR activities, just to constantly pull on that intrigue, I think is the number one thing.
Well, personalization and creative innovation are actually two of the 4 emotional value causes that I managed to identify in that model. You just said it there, creativity, right? You got to be creative. What's your approach to creativity then? Like, let's say you're thinking, okay, it's time to come up with some new ideas. I'm sure you've got plenty of time for that right now.
I do right now.
Right, but what would your normal process be for inspiring that creative, flourishing ideas and energies to come out of the business and the team?
So quite often it's when we're sending our staff away on some of our trips, or if it's myself traveling, quite often you'll see things when you're on the ground, even if it's one of our own tours, where you're like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing. I need to know more about this. Or it's something really incredible that you see in a documentary or that you read in an article. Like a perfect example, a couple of years ago, I read this incredible article. It was a photography piece about the Chin tribes in Myanmar, the ladies with the tattooed faces, and how there was only 50 of these women still alive, and that it was a diminishing practice. And I was so fascinated by it, and I was like, I need to figure out how to support this community and then see if we can get people to go and see this, because these women are not going to be around. And there was very little information as to why their faces were tattooed and what the different patterns meant and how that worked in terms of a cultural ranking system in that part of the country. So sometimes it's triggered by things that are just found online. One of my staff last year, when we started developing Australian product, she found this just through research of searching for remote islands off Australia that were not, you know, Hamilton Island, that sort of thing. She found, I can't even remember the name of it. I think it might have been Hope. I don't know, it was something that's between Australia and South Africa, but it's part of Australia and it's volcanic. And she was like, oh my God, how do we get there? Well, we can't. We spent about 6 months researching and trying to get permits as to how to get there. It's only for scientists, but things like that. There's, you know, some ideas that we come up with that are incredible in theory, but practically we just can't make them happen. But yeah, there's all sorts of inspiration that comes from every possible part of our lives.
That's like, and yet it's learning to filter those, right? I mean, that's the blue sky thinking is one, and then you allow the creativity to flourish, and then you kind of take those ideas. You probably do. It sounds like you do some initial kind of quick checks to see possibility, viability, to see if it's worth nudging further forward.
Yeah, and sometimes it's as simple as, let's just ring our insurance broker. Can we get insurance if we were able to do this? Are we covered? And if the answer is no, well.
Yeah, no matter how great it sounds an idea, well, we're not going to be able to get insurance coverage. What's the point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice. I think it's known that, and it's funny because that creative thinking, a lot of businesses actually cut that short. They wait until their back is against the wall, which is probably relevant for right now. Creativity is ideally something you've got time dedicated to continually. So you're continually evolving, adapting. If you wait until a crisis happens and then you try and find a way through, you might muck it up. You might have that pear-shaped experience of it all. So I think it's great that you are regularly doing creative ideas.